Now, you may or may not have heard of Blender. What you can do in Blender is make things like this, and this. Now, I was sitting down one day and I thought to myself, you know, it'd be pretty cool if I learned this skill. So can I go from absolutely knowing nothing to making this donut? Let's find out. I found this guy named Blender Guru, and he had pretty good tutorials about how to make a donut. So I gave it a shot. So I started to watch a bunch of tutorials, and I mean a bunch. Now that I've watched lots of tutorials, I opened up Blender and made my first donut. So first what I did is I deleted the cube because I didn't need it.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
And I got a torus, which is the closest object to a donut. Now, I checked the measurements, and that's a 1 meter donut. That's half my height. So I made it a bit smaller and changed the measurements. Then what I needed to do next is make some icing. So I did that. Once I got the icing, I had to make it its own object so that it wouldn't stick to the donut. And then I had to add a plane to put the donut on, then I had to add a wall to make the donut misshaped and everything. And after a days of work, boom, the donut was done. I was pretty proud of myself, but I wanted to start experimenting with animations. So I did. I watched a couple tutorials, and there you go, I learned animations. Now I wanted to start to learn how to sculpt. This is all I knew about sculpting. You just grab a sphere and throw a couple things on it. But I wanted to learn how to actually sculpt. So I watched a couple tutorials on how you can get references and photos into Blender so you can sculpt over them. And I made this pretty cool gun. Now it may look like I just copied and pasted the reference, but I didn't. As you can see, I turned off the thing and here it is. You can see a couple mistakes up at the trigger. And you can see that's paper thin. That's a problem that I had. But I wanted to make a low poly character that I could start animating and potentially make a video game. So I did. Believe it or not, this low poly character took me 2 hours to make. You can see that his head isn't that good and his shoes aren't good. But you can see how I painted different parts of his body different colors because I learned how to do texture paint. Now, I was going to rig him up and make an animation, but I was just too tired because I was making this for 2 hours and it was just so confusing. So I think that might be for another video. So I've learned how to do animation. I've learned how to sculpt. I've learned how to do texture painting. But there's still a lot more to learn. But of course I'm not going to learn everything. But I was thinking, you know what would be pretty cool? If I were to make an explosion. So I watched a really good tutorial on how to do that. So I spent about 2.5 hours making this. Now, I know it's not perfect, but I think it looks pretty close to a UFO crashing into a building. I know there's no smoke, there's no explosion, it's just kind of a building that goes everywhere. But it's my first time doing that. So there it is. I learned how to use Blender in a month and I'm pretty proud of myself. Sorry for not posting in a while, because I was spending a month learning how to use Blender, and a couple weeks editing this video. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, and possibly subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Anyway, see you guys next one. Keep safe.